Tune in to WLEZ Radio, the soundtrack of your life.
Well, today we have another young lady making history, an aspiring writer. Our guest is a mass communications junior. Akayla Harris is a 20-year-old writer, poet, blogger, and motivational speaker. And she can now add author to her list. She's just released her first book, Liberation, the 20-year journey it took to heal my soul. Welcome, Akayla Harris.
Hello, how are you?
It is so good to see you. You're a student here at Jackson State. You're a member of the JSU chapter of the National Association of Black Journalists. And now you are a writer, and we have it right in our hands, hot off the press. Liberation, the 20-year journey it took to heal my soul. Now, before we talk about your book, we want to talk a little bit about you. And what I'd like to find out, on your blog, it says, I'm a simple woman. It's complicated.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
who is Akayla Harris?
Akayla Harris, first of all, she's a lover. I'm a lover of all human beings, and that transcends, beyond religion, race, all of that. And at my core, I really just want to help people, which is why I founded my foundation, A New Breed. And that's just to give back to the homeless. I want to, touch them, give directly back to the people who I get to interview. I'm doing a documentary over them actually now. So that's who I am, the essence of who I am.
Well, now tell me, what was the inspiration for writing your book?
It honestly, it was a point where I thought I was going to break down. And that's when I realized somebody else needed to know how I made it through. So I started documenting from my earliest memories, that I could possibly remember, everything that I'd been through to the point of where I was about to break down, and just who I am today and what kind of person that made me. I just wanted to inspire somebody else along the way.
Well, I can tell you your book is inspiring. And, I saw at the beginning of your book that you dedicated the book to your grandmother, Lois Jean McCollum.
Yes, ma'am.
And tell me a little bit about her and what she meant to you, because very early on in your book, you talk about her.
Right. My grandmother, she was my everything. I love my mother always left me with my grandmother when she went to work or went out with her friends or anything. She was my best friend. We watched old films together, everything. She taught me how to pray. That was the first person to teach me how to pray and all and everything like that. She died when I was 6 years old, but I still have very fond memories of her.
You talk a lot about her inspiration, and I love how you end each chapter with a Bible verse. So you really are trying to help inspire others. So take us through, what will readers find out about Akayla Harris, and what do you want us to take away from your book?
You will find out the good, the bad, and the ugly. I didn't hold anything back in this book.
No holds barred.
Nothing at all. It took a lot out of me to do that too, to be that raw and that honest. But I felt like somebody needed it. What else will you find out? You'll see my faith, my determination to succeed. I will not give up. I refuse to give up.
How close were you to giving up? Tell our listeners a little bit about some of the challenges that you either went through or overcame.
Okay. We can start off. I was molested 3 times. My mother, when we lived in Michigan, she worked third shift at General Motors, so the only time I seen my mother for about 5 months was only on the car ride to my night care. And I finally convinced her that I didn't want to be there anymore because it just, I didn't want to be there. So she started letting me stay home alone. And,
how old were you then?
I was 10. I was 10 when she started letting me stay home alone. So there's just a lot of struggles. And my mother lost her job, lost her car. We lost a lot of stuff in Michigan.
Were you ever homeless?
We were very close to it. I will say that.
How bad did it get? I mean, I believe I read some part of your book where it really was tough for you to move in with some folks, and
right.
You had to deal with so much going on.
Right.
And you learned how to turn off and withdraw into yourself.
Right. Me and my mother moved in with another woman and her 5 children, and that was extremely hard for me, being that I am an only child. But not only just because I'm an only child, but I didn't have a bed, I didn't have a closet, I didn't have anything. I slept on the floor for the first 3 months we were there. So that was really hard for me.
What else? Even going back a little bit, there were revelations many points in your life. Made me chuckle a little bit when you first learned about Black history and you confronted your white teacher.
Yes, ma'am. I remember in the third grade, her name was Miss Schroeder at Merrill Elementary in Beloit, Wisconsin. And she was, trying to teach us about Black history, as honestly as she could. I know she didn't mean any harm, but it was the first time that I heard beyond slavery that Black people weren't treated fairly. So when she told us to ask our grandmothers, and my grandmother had just, passed away recently, and our grandfathers, their involvement in the civil rights movement, my mind wasn't, putting together the time frames of slavery and the civil rights movement. So I had to ask her the question, you mean to tell me y'all put my grandmama in chains? And her face just turned so red, like she didn't have any idea how to answer that question. Right. So she just called my mom later on. But I'm thankful my mother, she told me never to stop asking questions, always be inquisitive, and if they can't answer it, then I don't know, it's fine.
Right. So you didn't get in trouble for asking that question, and that made a good something positive and favorable in your life, because
right.
typically your mom has to come up and they're like, hey, why did you say that?
Right.
And that probably really has been something that has followed you throughout your life. You're outspoken. You like to say what's on your mind. And you're hoping that by speaking out about some of the challenges that you've faced in your life, that is going to help others. You talked a little bit about your relationship with your mom. What about your dad?
I've honestly only seen my father 6 times that I can remember. I'm pretty sure he was there maybe in and out when I was a baby, but as of today, I can only remember seeing my father 6 times. I kept track in my journals how many times I've seen my father. Mm-hmm. But our relationship has improved. It's all virtual. He started calling me, and he's a teacher now. He's in church. He's to get his minister's training license. He was taking care of my little brother and my little sister, so he's so much better. And I let go of any of the resentment I held toward him for not being in my life, being in and out of jail and drugs, whatever, just because I couldn't do that. I don't want to die on bad terms with anybody.
Mm-hmm. Now, I wanted you to read something in your book. Also, I would like to let our listeners know that your book includes things from your journal, poetry. Sometimes you would just remember things as it comes to you. Sometimes it was really hard for you to remember things, but it was all about getting through that process and growing and healing. What will you read for us?
I'll read, it's on page 45. I'll read a letter that I wrote to my father when I was younger, and God too. And I said, Jesus, I know you love me, but it seems like you hate me. I don't have a way to church, and a lot of bad things have happened to us since we moved. I'm sorry for letting you down. Can you please tell my dad that me and my mom need him now? Everything was okay at first, but now it's not. Maybe she'll want to be with him again. I just want a normal family. God, please help us. If you hear me, can you do something by next week? I'll do better in school and I'll pray more. P.S. Could you help me get in contact with Jessie?
Wow. Now, who's Jessie?
Jessie Jazz was my best friend in Wisconsin. We did absolutely everything together. She was adopted. I forgot. She had a rough, past already, but I can just remember going to water parks together, taking people's mail in the apartment complex that we lived in, taking their mail out of their mailboxes and scattering it all over, or putting it in different mailboxes so everybody would have to just go to everybody else's houses. We did everything together.
Wow. So what brought you to Mississippi? How'd you get here?
Well, I went to Russ College last year, actually, and I did well there, but I felt like it was just too small of an atmosphere for me. So my cousin, Erin Mercer, she recommended Jackson State University. This is where she pledged Alpha Kappa Alpha. This is where she did everything, got her start. She's a public relations specialist in Nashville now, and she told me that Jackson State would be a good move for me, so I trusted her.
And has it been?
It has. It has. It's been awesome, actually, especially since I jumped into the National Association of Black Journalists with you. That's been amazing for me.
And Dr. Dilworth,
yes.
you mentioned us in the beginning of your book, and we were so honored. And Dr. Dilworth, you've been in her writing class, and you allowed her to read your book, and you shared it with me as well. So it's we're really glad about that. in terms of writing your book, tell me about it. How did you manage? So many students say they want to be an author or they want to write a book. Mm-hmm. You're the first student that I am aware of in the Department of Mass Communications. I've been here since 2000 that's actually done it while they were still a student. I know it's a lot thanks to technology, but it has a lot more to do than that, because this probably had to be a real labor of love.
Yes, it took me 3 months to write my book.
Only 3 months. That's not bad.
No.
That's not bad, girl.
Yeah, it took me 3 months to write it, and it took me 3 days to figure out how to publish it.
Was that why late at night, sometimes I'd go by the writing lab, and you'd be there?
Yes, ma'am.
And we were always like, what is she working on?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So
that's what I was working on, my book. I was in here like it was church, like it was my religion, faithfully every night trying to figure out, okay, so how do I get my book cover right? How do I do this? How do I do that? And I ended up self-publishing and just going through a site called CreateSpace. And that's about it. You buy your ISBN, and everything else is kind of set up for you.
So what do you want to do? How do you want to get others to read your story, tell your story? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you have social media, and you've been sharing bits and pieces from your book. Tell me about that.
Yes, ma'am. I have an Instagram account, Mykela Harris, __, a Facebook account, and Twitter, and all of that. And I just share parts of my spoken word on here, and parts of the book. Hopefully, that will resonate with the whoever reads it and motivate them to want to, check out the book or something like that.
What's been the response from your fellow students?
It's actually been amazing, better than I thought. As an artist, I kind of never think anything I do is good enough until I see somebody else's reaction from it. But I've been feeding off you guys' energy, and it's been amazing. My professors, students, people from all across the United States that are buying it on Amazon.
Dr. Meredith loved it that you gave her an autograph. Now I need mine, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and I think it's great that we are getting behind you. So we're excited for you. So we really want you to continue on. Do you plan to have a book signing, hopefully within the JSU campus? Because we certainly would love to help you hook something up here.
Yes, ma'am. I actually am. I want to be kind of joining another author here on campus. Her name is Nako, and we're going to see what we can do.
Great.
As far as a book signing here on campus. Somewhere. We'll figure it out.
Who inspires you in terms of other writers?
Martin Luther King. Many people don't know Martin Luther King for being a writer, but I literally have a book as thick as my hand over essays and stuff that he wrote on newspapers, on napkins, on everything. And when I read his words, they resonate so deeply with who I am, like the very core of my being. A lot of people thought Martin Luther King was weak because he taught nonviolence and peace and all of that stuff. You would be shocked to see how many African Americans did not agree with his tactics because when he started doing what he was doing, marching and protesting and stuff like that, that meant now the dogs have to come to our neighborhood. Right. Now the KKK has to come and bomb our homes, not only yours, So a lot of people just wanted peace, but he was really a revolutionary. He disturbed the atmosphere completely of what people wanted, and that's who I am. I say what I feel, and I leave it at that. I feel like God gives me revelations about things that I need to tell people, young people especially. And it's not going to be agreeable all the time, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay being a person that's not liked by all. For the greater good.
I think I found that out early. we can agree to disagree, can't we? Wonderful. Now, on the back cover of your book, I love what you wrote, and I just wanted you to share that with our listening audience.
Okay. It says, I wrote this for you. I exposed all of my wounds so that we could heal together. I just hope you're not afraid of the journey ahead. I need you to understand that it's okay to be exactly where you are, just as long as you don't stay there. This is not a reach-the-top-quickly book with a scheme for false success. The plan is to redesign how you look at your struggles, not eliminate them completely. I'm not telling you that your journey of restoration and healing will be easy, but it will all be worth it. Let's get free together.
Wow. So deep. and so proud. We are so proud of you. Since I do have a student here with me, Mykela, I just wanted to get your thoughts on what you think about Akayla.
Well, first off, I want to say it's just an honor to see someone my age doing great things at such a young age. You have so much determination, and I'm very eager to read the book. But I do have a question, and I'm going to make it quick. What kept you going? I know you're very spiritual, and you know, we're a college student, so you always have classes. But what really gave you that push?
I think, quite simply put, it was God. Just my spiritual life with God. I knew that it was either, at one point in my book I wrote, it was breakdown or breakthrough. I either had to give up completely or find a use for all the negative energy that was kind of taking over me. So it wasn't, I didn't lose the energy completely. I just redirected where I was putting it. And all the negative energy, everything that was draining me, it was a lot. So when I started putting it towards something positive and said, okay, I'm going to do something every day to get me closer to my dreams. Will Smith has a quote that says, when you want it as bad as you want to breathe, that's when you'll get it. I wanted to get this book out as bad as I wanted to breathe. So I was writing at night. I was up here at the E Center till 6 o'clock in the morning sometimes. 4 o'clock in the morning. The security guards was like, I forgot you were back there. So
wow.
That's it.
I love it. That's great.
So want to talk about one more thing following up on Mykela, and I don't want to give your whole book away, but what was one of the most down times for you where you weren't sure if you were going to live or die? Or just seemed so hard that you wanted to give up?
Oh, that was last year, honestly. I started writing this book, it was about 3 months ago, September. Well, last year, September. I can remember driving back to Jackson State, and I forgot what had happened. It was something, but I'd been just going house to house because I didn't want to be where my mother was at the time. And I was just really, really down. I was really depressed driving back here. And I usually talk to God when I feel like that. But this time I just started crying. I was just boo-hooing crying. And I really contemplated. I said, well, you know what? I wonder who would show up to my funeral. Who would come and who wouldn't come. And it was almost like I didn't care kind of over me of if I let go of the wheel, if I didn't, I don't know. It was kind of like everything was happening around me. I wasn't doing anything on my own. But then, like, this big ray of sunlight, I promise you, like, the sun came out of nowhere and started burning my face. I was like, what is this? Right. Let me be depressed, God.
Yes.
But it was just kind of like a revelation that I had to do something. I had to. This is my release.
Cathartic, yeah. Yeah. Well, we're certainly glad that you persevered, and we're anxious to see what's next for Akayla. So you're a junior, so you won't graduate until next year.
Yes, ma'am.
But so we look for some other great things to happen from you as a result of your book, and you also have other information. What's your website? AkaylaHarris.squarespace.com. Okay, so we'll put a link on our JSU Connections Facebook page. So thank you so much. Our guest has been Akayla Harris, author of Liberation, the 20-year journey it took to heal my soul. Thank you, and best wishes, Akayla Harris.
Thank you.
We'll be back.
Tune in to WLEZ Radio, the sound of your life.